Hi, everyone. Welcome back to day 19 of Legacy Leadership, Wisdom of the Apostle Paul, our 30-day devotional, where we're looking at what it means to have a legacy leadership style, to understand the legacy logic of being a type of leader who creates more leaders. And I really wanted to thank you guys for doing this with me. Every day has helped me a little bit more on each subject we've gone through, and I hope it's been helpful to you. As we continue on here, we are headed quickly into our Wednesday night sessions for June. We should be able to, the calendar that I have rolled out here is 3 weeks in a row, and then we'll take a couple weeks off. So I'll get that calendar out via email separate from the devotional emails. But that looks like that is going to work out great. So I'm looking forward to having you guys over to cover some topics in the beginning, kind of starting with this coaching role that we're in and what it means and where we need to be focusing our energy. Some of the personal growth that we all need to be working on, but also some of the efforts that we can be making with our neighborhood group members, our neighbors, our family, folks around us, and in our sphere of influence. So I'm looking forward to spending that time with you guys. I really hope that it's a catalyst to something that is in some sort of ongoing commitment of our team to work together, to develop each other, to lead each other, so that our leadership really does have a lasting legacy. And I'm excited to be a part of that with you guys. So let's continue on our devotional here, day 19, and I'll read through it, stop and pause where stuff strikes me, and if you have questions or comments, feel free to throw them back over via email or the Facebook forum if that works for you, and we're happy to have that discussion. And I hope you guys have been coming up with questions for our sessions, because I'm really excited to find out what you guys are seeing out there, what you need help on, and really looking forward to coaching with you and for you through some of those situations. So looking forward to that. And here we go on day 19 of Legacy Leadership. Influence without asserting authority, part 1. Influence without asserting authority, part 1. I once worked with an executive who believed employees wouldn't work hard if they didn't come to work every day with the fear of getting fired. Another executive told me that you should not praise people for a job well done because they would slack off after being praised. Hopefully you've never worked for a boss like that. Unfortunately, this style persists in many organizations. These examples reflect a carrot and a stick approach to managing, with an emphasis on the stick. These tactics may generate short-term performance, but they will not lead to the long-term commitment. Like stretching a rubber band, the manipulative use of reward, carrots, and coercive power, sticks, lead to short-term compliance, but as soon as the tension is removed, the behavior goes back to its original position. Boy, I think in this particular paragraph, I feel like this reflects my parenting style some days. So yeah, interesting. Paul understood that the most effective leaders are not able to exert influence without asserting their formal authority. Paul's role as an apostle provided him with a legitimate source of authority. The power to reward or punish came with the position, yet he was consistently reluctant to assert his formal authority. Paul reminded the Thessalonians that even though, as apostles of Christ, we might have asserted our authority, he chose not to demand that the Thessalonians take care of his need for physical and financial support. 1 Thessalonians 2, verse 6. In his second letter to the Thessalonians, he reiterates this point and emphasizes the importance of leaders modeling the behavior they want to see in their followers. That makes a ton of sense. Let's model the behavior that we want to see in our followers. So if we want our kids to take out the trash and do their chores and read their Bible and pray with one another, then they should be a part of our lives where we're modeling those things to them. Let's get our housework done together. Let's get our chores done together. Let's pray together, read the Bible together. Let's model that behavior for our kids. That's what came to me first when I just read that. But I think it's definitely true in my workplace. Every time I see some better way of doing something, if I model that for others, they generally buy in and follow pretty easily. But it comes through kind of more of a modeling of behavior change more than systems or technology or anything like that. Carrying on. For you yourselves know how you ought to follow our example, because we did not act in an undisciplined manner among you, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it. But with labor and hardship we kept working night and day, so that we would not be a burden to any of you. Not because we do not have the right to do this, but in order to offer ourselves as a model for you, so that you would follow our example. 2 Thessalonians 3, verses 7 through 9. Paul deliberately chose to forego the legitimate reward and coercive power inherent in his position. Instead, he leaned into another base of power, referent power. Referent power is based on respect and admiration. When this is present, the followers identify with and want to emulate their leader. This power base does not come from the leader's position or control of resources. Rather, it is based on the leader's character and integrity. Referent power is based on who the leader is. It's a huge point. It's absolutely critical. We'll probably talk about it in tons of different contexts over the weeks to come. But when we can lean into another power base where it's our own character and integrity on the line, and we're modeling this with our own identity and our own behavior, it's who we are. It becomes a very, very powerful way to lead. Paul and his team worked night and day so they would not be a burden to their followers. He lived on what he earned as a tent maker and the offerings provided by others. By earning his own way, Paul demonstrated the purity of his motives and created a foundation for influence, referent power, that did not rely on the authority of his title or position. The consistency and authenticity of Paul's life established a high level of integrity among his followers that gave him moral authority. He had influence without asserting authority. Let's reflect and act on these questions. Think about a recent situation when someone attempted to influence you. What power base does that person have? Reward, coercive, or referent? What influence strategy did they employ? What was your response? Would your response have been different if they had used a different strategy? Number 2, which power bases do you respond most favorably to? Which ones are you most likely to resent or even resist? Number 3, now think about a recent situation when you attempted to influence another person. What power base were you operating from? What influence strategy did you use? What was the outcome? Number 4, like most leaders, Paul had multiple power bases to draw from: legitimate, reward, coercive, and referent. Evaluate the power bases available to you. Do you have legitimate power because of your formal title or position? Which power base do you tend to lean on? And last but not least, do you need to shift the base of your influence to become more effective as a leader? What steps do you need to take? So 5, I wouldn't say those are 5 questions. That's 5 series of questions. Folks, this is a huge topic. This could be a turning point or a pivot point for some individual's leadership style, or at least their understanding of leadership, especially in kind of this wisdom of the Apostle Paul text. Because even when we have the ability via legitimate or potentially reward or some coercive power, we have the ability to use those power bases. We literally have to choose to lean and prefer and tend to be dominant in a reverent power base, because that respect and admiration, it will go so far. And if we focus on kind of some of the things that we've been talking about, we'll call it kind of just leading yourself type of stuff, taking care of your own house, so to speak, and making sure that the Holy Spirit is working in your life and is leading you in your leadership. You will gain that respect and admiration, and it won't be because of your position or control of your resources, but because of your character and integrity. So this particular topic is huge. I wanted to offer up some bonus content having to do with one of the best in this space. John Maxwell teaches on the 5 levels of leadership, and I think it's a good time to introduce that. I have a very short, concise, animated explanation of that, we'll call it book or text. There's a lot of material out there on it. I don't know that this video, the narration kind of bugs me a little bit, but I've listened to it a couple times, and in general, it does a really good job of capturing the 5 levels of leadership and how you can go from somebody with this mindset of kind of just, I'm in position of authority, so I just lord over people, all the way up to this style of leadership that we're talking about, which is literally building leaders because of our approach being much more out of the reverent power base. We're much more apt to gain respect and admiration because of who we are, that followers can identify with us and they want to emulate us. And that power base, you'll see some parallel with John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership as he kind of works towards the pinnacle of leadership. And I think that's a good topic for you guys. The book is not that long. There's a quick 45-minute reading of the book on YouTube, but I'm going to post the bonus content for the link to an animated summary, and just wanted to share that with you guys as a bonus content to this particular topic, influence without asserting authority, talking about how you can use power as a leader, and kind of where on the spectrum you may particularly land today, and kind of where you want to grow into and the steps that you need to take. So keep that in your back pocket. We'll definitely be talking about this, and plus this is only part 1 of, I think, part 2. So we'll talk about this topic some more to come. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you soon.